How do you finally transition from selling per hour, maybe selling a session to a client, and move all the way to being able to sell an outcome? Because let's be honest, we don't resolve, fix, and finally conjure up magic with that person that comes your way with just 1 hour. Instead, it takes time. And why, after all these years, is the industry still so incessant on encouraging people to sell their services per hour? Well, I have my theories, but the most important thing that I'm going to show you today is how to go from selling per hour to selling an outcome, to selling a result that that person really wants. Hey, it's great to meet you. My name's Rich from Taylor-Wellington.com. For almost a decade now, my wife and I have been helping coaching businesses just like yours by improving their lead generation, their marketing, their sales process, and also developing the people that run the business on the inside, which is you. Now, let me caveat this by saying there's nothing wrong with selling an hour of your time to somebody. For me personally, it sits on a bit of an awkward line. And that line on one side is there's nothing wrong with selling an hour of your time. You make money and that person gets a piece of your time in return. Now, on the other side of the line, there's logic in saying, well, the majority, if not every single person that comes to you is not going to have their problem or sometimes problems fixed with just a 60-minute session. Is there actually a question of integrity with not selling them the result when they first come to us? Now, a lot of that you can make up for yourself. I'm not here to tell you again what's right and what's wrong, but I'm going to share my own personal story around how I went from selling fitness classes, selling an hour of my time doing personal training. And then when a lot of this stuff started clicking into place and I started seeing through a clearer or a cleaner lens, I started understanding actually the best thing for the people that I was looking after was to sell them the outcome, was to sell them the thing at the end of the journey rather than just 1 hour right at the beginning. Personally, I had an absolute blast running my fitness business. I hear a lot of people moaning and complaining that they have to get up early and they have to work until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Personally, I think that's a privilege. I think it's amazing that you get to run a business like a fitness business and people want your help with something so fundamental in today's society. Is there a way to balance out your time better if that's not the desired business that you want to run? Absolutely. And maybe this transition away from selling an hour of your time to selling a result or an outcome is maybe a partial answer to that. Once upon a time, I actually sold my fitness classes for £2.75. That's £2.75 per person for an hour. And I would take care of those people or that person for the £2.75. And quite often, right in the beginning, I might only have one person, one lady, show up for that £2.75 fitness class. And as well as classes like group sessions, I also sold one-to-one personal training. And when I first started my personal training journey, I sold that 1 hour for £15. Now, is selling per hour a great model when you're first getting started? I believe it is. I believe it's a very easy, low barrier entry point. If you've not got any clients, if it's something new that you're totally fresh to and you're just out of your wrapper, and it helps you build a little bit of muscle around how you might speak to potential prospects, bring them into your business and just start taking care of them. What I personally started to find with the people that were just buying a session here and there, or maybe I might have sold them 5 or maybe 10 sessions, is there was no rules. There was no rules around when those sessions were taken. So the rules adapted for me over time, because what I realized, those people that were paying for a £2.75 fitness class or a £15 for an hour of my one-to-one personal training, is that I needed to bolster in some structure. So the first adaptation was people buying a bundle, was buying like a pack. So you might buy 10 fitness classes or you might buy 20 personal training sessions. Fantastic initial evolution of what we did. But there were still some inherent problems. You know, even if you did buy 10 fitness classes, there was no dates or rules around when that had to be used by. And the same with the personal training sessions as well. And then if somebody missed one of those personal training sessions, more than likely you're going to be easy on them and you're not going to take off a session off their pack if they were late or, you know, something came up or maybe they got ill. So you end up not getting a renewal or not getting any more money in as a business until you've finally worked your way all through that pack. And not just that, but from an integrity standpoint, those people that were buying those packs also still didn't have the result that they came to you for in the first place. And that was one of the biggest things that pained me personally. Almost like because they haven't invested just just a little bit heavier for themselves. They weren't bought into the process of sticking to what you've asked them to do. And I think that's another problem or another issue or challenge that comes up when you're personal training people one-to-one, is once that person leaves the session, how accountable are they going to be to themselves? Because they got into the position that they're in the first place because of their own habits and behaviors, right? And then once I'd evolved, to buying packs, there were some other micro evolutions that happened thereafter. So for the fitness classes, a person might pay a certain monthly amount and that would renew at the beginning of every month and they would get a certain amount of sessions. And maybe I did something similar, if I remember rightly, inside the personal training sessions too. And then underneath those sort of micro adaptations or evolutions, there were price increases as well. Eventually worked up to about £8 per person for a fitness class, and about £35 or £40 for a personal training session. Now that's by the time you kind of broken the packages down and you'd worked out what it might cost, per the session inside the pack. Now, outside of the pricing structure, there was another challenge. The other challenge was that we had such a diverse amount of clients, men, women, some teenagers, I had some really elderly clients that used to come in. So every single session was different. And that made it even more challenging for us to be able to create a blueprint or some sort of step-by-step process to take someone from the exact position they came into us with and then getting that end result that they truly desired. So it was at that point, we took a really big step back from everything we were doing so we can analyze properly. Now, from taking a look at the client base, we're actually made up of about 90% women. So the first realization was, you know what, we could probably niche down. And I'm sure you've heard this before about niching down and the riches are in the niches and all this kind of stuff. But that really is the case, because all of a sudden, when you're marketing to find those people, you're not marketing with grey area. You're not marketing with any confusion. You're just talking directly to women, as one example. And that does something at the audience size that you're marketing to as well. All of a sudden, you're seen more as an expert because you say, we specialize in just looking after women. Now, underneath the niche, there was then the result that we would get people. And again, after analyzing the client base, 80% there or thereabouts were ladies that had come to us to lose weight. Now, this might not be shocking or surprising to you because you're probably thinking, well, yeah, that's maybe a huge portion, of people's client base. But we wanted to make the next step and the next evolution based on data, based on logic, rather than just, hey, let's just throw some stuff in the air or chuck some shit at the wall and hope something sticks. And that's how we niched down double time. It was ladies only and ladies that wanted to lose weight. We weren't going to be the business that was maybe similar to CrossFit or, there's High Rocks out now. I'm talking about a long time ago when we did this and when we had our fitness business. Now, we would get women insanely fit, but the main objective when they came to us, they wanted to lose weight. They wanted to regain their confidence, wanted to regain a sense of who they were before. And maybe that's before they gained weight, maybe that's before they had children. Whatever their reasoning was, it was totally fine with us. We could always help them lose that weight. Now, once we got the targeting figured out, like who we were going to specialize in looking after, it was then, well, how are we going to price this thing? Do we keep selling sessions, or is there a different way to look at this? And the thing that we opted to go for was selling a package, was selling the end result. So again, looking at the 80% of those ladies that wanted to lose weight and they came to us for those reasons, we did some market analysis, we did some market research and asked them, when you first came to us, what was the result that you were looking for? What is like the dream island? And they told us. As simple as that. This isn't like a rocket science, experiment. This is just dealing with humans. Very, very simple. And the big thing that we wanted, particularly from ladies that were looking to lose weight, was their own buy-in to their transformation. Rather than maybe jumping in and out of sessions, everything being quite sporadic and results being up and down. So instead, we took an average of what we were charging people for a session and we put that inside of this package. The thing that we marketed was the end result that we'd asked them what their dream outcome was, which is what we were basically delivering. Now, there are other things that we did inside of the package to increase the value of it. Now, these were things that we're already selling outside of the personal training sessions. These are things like nutritional help, meal plans, supplement guides, actual supplements themselves that they would just buy somewhere else if they weren't purchased from us. So rather than that person having to buy the sessions, the transformation package from us, and then have to go out and find for themselves, or even if we gave them a list of things, they just paid us once and it included absolutely everything that they needed. So from the point of inquiry and that person coming in to see me, sitting down, having a really nice conversation, and us figuring out, hey, you know what, we can really help you. By the time they walked out, they had a goodie bag with a t-shirt, with a shaker in there, with a recipe guide, with a nutrition guide, absolutely everything they needed with their first session booked in the diary, ready to go between me and them. Simple. And that's what people want when they buy a solution, is they want simplicity. They want all of that complexity taken off their hands, taken off their plate, and just putting into one nice, neat little package. So maybe this has given you some ideas of how you can start evolving your own service and product right now. Or maybe you're thinking, hey, you know what, I don't want to change a thing about what I do. You know, I'm just going to keep it exactly as it is, charge per session. Kudos to you, because that's the beautiful thing about owning your own business, right? And the way that you do things, it's up to you. But I figured I would just share my own story today, just in case you were looking at a way to maybe make a little bit more money, package up what you're already doing, and maybe find a way to niche down within the current pocket of clients that you've got. I appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.